Hey everyone, David C. Anderson here coming at you from the Knife Center. Hope you're all staying safe out there. I'm in the office right now because I get to take a look at all the cool new knives that have hit our shelves in the last week. Let's check them out. All right, so the first one is not a new knife. You guys have probably seen this before, but we have a new special price on the Cold Steel Lucky One slip joint. This is marked down from its regular price. It used to be $65, and it was still a pretty decent option at that price. Now this comes in just under 50 bucks. It's a great gentleman's pocket carry. You've got carbon fiber handle scales with a little bit of contour, S35 VN blade steel, and it's nice and thin, so it's gonna be very slicey, very agile little blade thanks to that narrow profile. Good gentleman's carry, like I said, good unobtrusive work knife. Father's Day coming up, I think this would make a really, really great gift. And this model is going away. We have a little bit of a supply of them right now at this price, but you're not gonna wanna miss out on these. I will actually be kind of upset once these are no longer on the market, because it's a great little option. You've even got a nice pocket clip there on the back, as well as a little, it's not quite leather, it's almost like a velour pocket slip for it. But that's there as well to help protect it if you want to carry it in your pocket rather than clipped. But that's the Cold Steel Lucky One, special price right now, just under 50 bucks. Right, this next knife actually has kind of a similar profile, just a little bit bigger. We've got some new KnifeCenter exclusive versions of the G5 Metamorph from Real Steel. While the blade on that Cold Steel was a little bit over 2.5 inches, these blades are about 3.5 inches. And you got two versions here. We've got a black G10 handle and a orange G10 handle, both with blackened blades. And both of them come with 14C 28N stainless steel. And the price on these, similar profile, as I said, to that Cold Steel, and the price is, these are a special introductory price of just under 50 bucks, which is about 10 bucks cheaper than the next cheapest Metamorph, and that is the price these are gonna be going back up to at some point in the near future. I don't have the exact date on that. But you got that good steel there. It's not gonna hold an edge like the S35 VN, but it is a very good performer. It takes a really nice fine edge, and again, you've got a really narrow profile, very agile cutting blade. I really like these a lot. The G10 is nice. We got a little bit of a backspacer here that has some cutouts here, so it's kind of semi-floating, as well as a nice hidden lanyard point there at the back. And we've got a deep carry pocket clip, right side only though, so sorry to the lefties out there. But it is a liner lock as well, which of course is a right-hand biased mechanism, or at least typically are right-hand biased, as this one is. But that nice little deep carry pocket clip, and this is a front flipper design. It does it pretty well. I'm not the best front flipper, so don't take my kind of fumbling with it there as indicative of how this flips open. Just, I don't know, I got big fingers or something. It's never been my forte. But real cool. If you wanted a Metamorph, right now you can get it for a little bit cheaper than any of the other versions, and do get it right now, because like I said, the price is going back up. But another really great slim pocket carry. I wouldn't exactly call this an executive knife, not in this colorway, but there are some fancier versions if you want a more gentlemanly carry. But anyway, really cool, check them out. I've got another new variant of another Cold Steel, or no, Cold Steel, Real Steel. A new Real Steel Sidis. This is a new version with a black blade and black G10 handles. D2 blade steel coming in at 68 bucks, 3.5 inches of blade. And I really like the drop point shape you've got going on here. It's a fairly neutral shape, but it feels kind of refined. It's not a clumsy iteration of a drop point. It's got some very nice lines, full flat grind, so it's gonna slice pretty nicely. Opens really well with the thumb cut out there. You can even do that middle finger flick a little bit. Again, my big fingers don't do too great on that, but you know, keep that in mind. Liner lock again, and the handles on this are a little bit more filling than some blades this size can be. You actually have a fair amount to grip onto with this knife, so for a heavier work knife, I think this would be a good option. You've got that liner lock, as I said, holding it shut, black to match the scales. Deep carry pocket clip that's not all the way out to the end of the handle. It is right side tip up only. You've got your lanyard point there attached or integrated into the backspacer. And the other thing you'll notice is there's actually some pass-throughs in both the pivot hardware and the matching screw here at the back. So you could thread some stuff through there if you wanted. They almost didn't need to include that extra lanyard point there, since you could kind of thread it through this bolt here at the back. But I haven't tried to, but they look like they're adjustable with just a plain flathead screwdriver as well, which is kind of neat. So there you go, new variant of the Sidis. If you don't like that color, there are a few others available that have been out for a little bit. We've got some plain satin blades and some other handle colors that you can take a look at if you like. All right, this next thing is not actually this knife. We've been showing you some of the kind of accessories that you can use, especially when you're stuck at home right now, to kind of pimp out your knives a little bit. We've got some, some cool new handle scales in, some new pocket clips. This is my small Sebenza, and it's kind of been my my go-to gentleman's knife for the last several years. And I just installed one of the new Lynch Northwest deep carry pocket clips that we carry onto it, and I really like the way they've done this pocket clip. Now we've got their pocket clips for some other models too, like some of the Benchmades and stuff out there. But what's really nice about this, for any of you guys who are familiar with the Sebenza, you know there's kind of some challenges involved in creating some aftermarket clips, especially deep carry ones, because there is a pocket in the titanium that the factory clip sits in that you have to contend with, and this does sit in there very nicely. But then in addition to that, the actual screw that comes with the Chris Reeve is sort of a domed design, which could get in the way when you're with a deep carry pocket clip if you're pocketing it. So to get around that, they've actually got a nice little ramp built into the front of this, and the screw is actually recessed in the titanium of that pocket clip. So it doesn't stick up, it doesn't snag. You've got that nice little ramp there to make extraction or reinserting into the pocket very smooth. It's just a really nice iteration, really nicely engineered and designed complement to your small Sebenza or your large. We've got the large one as well. Matching bead blasted finish, which is what all the lock bars come with. And prices on these is about $78, and I think that price is the same for both of those pocket clips. I'll show you the pocket clip rather than the knife. Really cool. I'm really happy with it. And like I said, tons of great accessory options on our website. We'll make sure to leave links to all our pocket clips and all that other stuff down below. Speaking of some of those other accessories, I'm sorry I don't have one of the knives to put them on right here in front of me right now, but we've got some new micarta handle scales for the Becker BK62. That's the Kephart, or the Beckhart as some people are calling it. Of course, that one comes with wooden handle scales, but now you can get official K-Bar natural micarta scales as well. Got a bit of a matte texture, which feels quite nice. These come in at about $35. Also would be good if you're making your own knives out there and you don't really want to mess with doing your own handles too much. You could manufacture a blank that would fit these handles if you want, kind of save you some steps. Pretty cool. Are these made in America? I don't know, let me check. They are made in America, which is quite nice. But anyway, that's the BK62 handle scales, $35. We've also got the full-size handle scales and the tweener size handle scales for the regular line of Beckers. You can check all of those out at the link below also. All right, let's get to some new knives. Got a new Spyderco. This is the Siren, has finally arrived. Made in America. This one comes in at $168 right now. And the kind of defining feature of this is an LC200N blade, which is a very, very, very rust-resistant steel. I won't go as far as to say it's rust-proof, but it is very rust-resistant. It's a nitrogen-based steel, and unlike Spyderco's H1 steel, which is even more rust-resistant, you actually get a lot better performance with this steel in terms of your edge retention and also toughness, especially at the edge. It's got really high edge stability, this steel, so it should be very durable and help that edge last even longer. If you're familiar with the Waterway fixed blade, this is of course kind of a folding reinterpretation of that design. It's designed by Lance Clinton, who's an avid, I think, fisherman and boater, if I'm getting that correctly. And you can see in sort of the finger guard here, it's supposed to look sort of like a cresting wave, which is kind of a neat little touch. The handles are G10, pretty aggressively textured so that you're gonna have a lot of grip when things do get wet. If it is a little bit too much for you, it probably would be for me. I might just take some really fine sandpaper and knock some of the peaks off of there. But that's up to you. I think it'd be just fine the way it is. And again, it would give you that extra grip out at sea, so to speak. And you've got some thin blue liners as well. And I don't know if it's just that aesthetic, that black with a thin blue line, but I also feel like this would make a decent tactical knife as well, or kind of something with a lot of crossover. You can take it outdoors, you can take it out on the water. carry it day to day. It's got a good enough profile to do some quote unquote tactical stuff with that nice finger guard to protect your fingers from sliding forward. The only part that may not quite live up to like the heavy duty tactical aesthetic is we've got a wire deep carry pocket clip, although it's not super deep carry here. So not quite as like overbuilt as some really tough pocket clips might be, but I've always thought that they looked quite nice, holds the knife nice and deep and looks pretty good. It is reversible, you've got your back lock. Just, I think one of my favorite 2020 designs from Spyderco, and we've got them now. So that LC200 is extremely rust resistant, like I said, but if you want pure rust proof, or as close as it can possibly get, we've got an H1 bladed Spyderco here. This is the newest version of the Pacific Salt, the Pacific Salt 2. Now this is basically just upgrading that classic Pacific Salt model with the latest Endura ergonomics. It has essentially the same kind of handle profile as the Gen 4 Endura, although I think it's a little bit thicker if I'm remembering correctly, and this should be an absolute beast at resisting rust when you're out there. Got that H1 blade. From what I've been told, I've actually not really worked one of these knives out or worked this steel out excessively myself, but it should give you edge retention performance kind of similar to AUS 8. So not bad at all, and like I said, really high rust resistance. You've got a saber grind here that's hollow, it's not a flat grind, and you've got all the other great kind of Endura hallmarks. You got that easy one-handed opening, mid-mounted backlock with the Boyd dent, 4-position pocket clip. Even if you're not taking it out on the water, if you just want a solid everyday carry, I think this would be a good option. And with those kind of carry features and locking operation, lefties, righties, doesn't matter. This is going to be a really good option, coming in at $101.50 right now. All right, next we've got a beefy cold steel, kind of a very different vibe from that first cold steel we looked at. These are the new SR1 Lites, available with drop point clip point or Tonto blades, coming in at about $60 right now. Now, the first thing a lot of you are probably going to see when you take a look at the product page on our website is that this is HCR13 MOV steel, which admittedly is not anything kind of high end, and for the most part, people don't really get too excited about it. But keep in mind that this is a $60 knife and it is burly. I mean, you're getting a lot of strength, a lot of durability for that $60. And if you need a beater knife that you really want to actually be able to beat on, like the Rat 1 from Ontario is always a great option, but in terms of outright strength, this is definitely going to blow that out of the water. That blade itself, 3/16 of an inch thick, and it's got a fairly high flat grind to try and keep the slicing a little better, but this is kind of a folding rendition of a sharpened pry bar, so to speak. That slicing capability is not its mission. Outright strength is what they're going for with this design. You've got their triad lock backing things up. You can see that nice thick lock bar there, which looks like a lock back, but it is stronger. Of course, you've got a stop pin and some geometric advantages inside that's going to help it last longer and lock up stronger, distribute force better than a standard lock back. Back to the blade real quick, 4 inches of length there too. This is not a short blade. You've got enough length there to kind of back up the burly nature of the rest of the construction. The handles are Grivex, so they are synthetic. They've got a sort of moderate to heavier orange peel texture. It's not sharp. The waterway actually here from Spyderco is a little bit more aggressive, but it's still going to give you plenty of retention there. Got a pocket clip here, nice wide flat design that is reversible, and nice heavy dual oversized thumb studs here to open it up. If you want something higher end, of course, you can get this version with S35VN and G10 handles. That one comes in, they start at about 150, I think 157-ish for this particular Tonto version, or that upgraded Tonto version. Or for $60, you could have an absolute tank of a beater knife right here with the SR1 Lite. All right, now we've got a couple of automatics. We're getting new Microtechs in a lot these days, so it's kind of hard for me to even keep up with the new stuff. So I want to show you something at least here. This is one of the new Signature Series Troodons, coming in at $470. You got about a 3-inch double-edged blade, aluminum handle construction with a copper top. This is not a high polished copper. They've left it kind of a little rustic from the factory so that you're not afraid once you get it to pick it up and use it. It's got kind of that broken in, battle ready look already. Steel right now on this one is CTS XHP. You've got your deep carry pocket clip there on the back, and your nice what am I talking about? A little glass breaker thingy there at the back. You guys know what it is. Microtechs have always had really good action, but this one in particular, there's always a tiny little bit of variance, or there can be with automatics. This one is awesome, just super fast, super snappy. I really like it. And again, just one of the great deal of new Microtechs we've got in right now. So if you like this, want something a little different, make sure to check them out. All right, if you want something a little bit more affordable in the automatic arena, we've got some new variants of probably one of my favorite automatics to come out in the last couple years. It's this little guy, the Kershaw Launch 9. The new colors we've got right now, we've got OD green as well as a blue anodized aluminum handle, and they still pair with a really nice CPM 154 blade, about 1.8 inches, so this is a California compliant design. Nice stonewash finish there, so it's going to be a good working, good finish for actually getting work done. Solid particle steel, and again, keeping in mind some slight variations in manufacturing, I've always been a fan of the action on the launch knives. They do a great job, but this particular one, it's really awesome. It's just really snappy. I like it a lot. Price on this, $90, made in America. Really hard to beat any of the launches as far as good deals go. Deep carry pocket clip, which is reversible. Buried lanyard attachment point there. Just a solid, compact automatic design. And for something else on the smaller side, but a little less fast, so to speak, we've got another new Black Fox, which is sort of one of the Fox subsidiaries where we see a lot of their budget-minded items. This is the new Rockly coming in at about $45 right now. Blade steel is 440C. It's about 2¼ inches long, so you're under that 2.5-inch blade length. And we've got a few different handles available on this as well, including some G10s and the like, but this is the zebra wood version. Technically, this is a frame lock, although it's thinner, kind of like a liner lock to keep it a little more compact. And you can see that there exposed on the back side. And I see this almost as a keychain knife, even though it does come with a pocket clip if you wanted to carry it that way. Certainly an inoffensive little knife. Might make a good, affordable gentleman's knife for sure. Has sort of a kind of a gadgety look, if you know what I mean. I could see this being featured on some more, not to use the term disparagingly, but some kind of like hipster blogs out there. I think this particular wood version especially would fit in really nicely with those. It's a cool little design, what can I say? Hollow grind there, nice usable blade shape, affordable enough, you're not going to be too busted up about it if you happen to lose it or misplace it or get it confiscated or anything like that. The new Rockly from Black Fox. That knife, of course, was made in Italy, and we've also got another Italian knife here, this one from Maserin, and this one really ups the ante with its sort of fanciness and kind of gentlemanly factor. This is called the Errant, comes in at about $150 right now. Blade steel is N690, about 2.2 inches, so again, nice smaller shape. And we've actually got 24 karat gold engraving, these with this sort of leaf-shaped or paisley-ish design here on the front of the blade. The handles are ebony wood, nice classic look, deep and dark, and you've got a ton of file work going on here along the spine, both on the spine of the knife as well as the back spacer and the liners also. Just really cool, nice and polished, crowned spine, very, very classy. Then you turn it over, this is a liner lock, and you've got that file work there on the front side of the liners as well. But it tucks into the hand pretty nicely. It's kind of a, I'd say a 3-finger knife really, but you do have that little bit of a leather thong there sticking out the back. You could of course add your own lanyard, and that would give your pinky something to grab onto for a little bit of extra grip. Some nice fluting here in the ebony that feels really nice. Nice little blade. Now there's no pocket clip on this knife as you can see, but it does come with a nice classy black leather pocket slip, so you could slip that into your pocket in there without worrying about anything chewing up the wood handles there. And actually the lanyard on the end is going to help with removing that from your pocket as well, easier to fish out. We've got a front flipper on this, although it's not really a flipper, it's more of a slow roll type of action. Just a really classy, classy little piece from Italy. All right, I've got another Maserin right now, and while this is definitely more of a peasant-oriented design, there's still something kind of classy about this when you consider what it is. This is from their Koglefungi line. It's a mushroom knife, if you must know. Comes in about 50 bucks right now. You've got that hawkbill shaped blade, about 3 inches or so from the tip to the scale there. Comes nice and sharp, and you've got all this jimping out here at the front. Gives you a little bit of area to choke up on. Your fingers are going to have some retention up there. I don't know if there's any other purpose to that in terms of the actual mushroom hunting vibe of this knife. You guys will have to let me know. It's maybe a little bit past morel season here in the States, but this would have been a good knife to have, or will be a good knife to have if you're heading out. Gives you a good reason to get out of the house, go out and hunt for some mushrooms. You've got a little clip here where you can attach it to something else, or you can kind of remove it with the split ring there. This is a slip joint knife, just closes right up. I've actually got some tweezers inside these wood handles, which I was actually pretty surprised by. That's kind of cool. Those handles are beechwood. On the back here, we've got a centimeter scale, goes up to 5 centimeters, so you can, measure your mushrooms, I guess. And a nice little brush, stiff brush here at the end for cleaning dirt out of the underside of the caps or anything else like that. Even if you're not going to use this for, let's say, heading out foraging for mushrooms, I think this would make a good garden knife. I think that brush would actually come in handy there. I know a lot of folks are spending some extra time gardening right now, so this is a really cool piece to add to your pocket while you're doing that. Might mean you have to carry fewer tools around with you while you're doing your digging and your planting and all that sort of stuff. And it's that hawkbill blade makes it actually a really good pruner. And we've got another one here that's also new for us, a new version of the Swiss Army pruning knife from Victorinox. We've got 2 versions. This is the small one here. Blade length is about the same on both of them, just under 3 inches, but the difference between the two is more in the height of the blade. Price here comes in at about 36 bucks. You've got kind of this sway-backed red handle. It is a synthetic handle scale there. Some brass liners, so you have a little bit of a classy look there. That kind of red brass and polished metal, I think looks really cool. Definitely feels comfortable. There's a lot to grip onto there. The point itself is a little bit blunted off. It's not a super acute point, but I think this would make a great utility knife as well as your gardening, pruning needs. But again, 2 sizes, both coming in about 36 bucks. Or sorry, the larger one comes in at about 40. But either one's going to make a good option. You've got kind of your standard Victorinox stainless steel there. Both are going to be nice and solid tools for you. All right, next up we've got some new variants in, or some new stock of the RMJ Karambit. This is American made, small batch production, comes in at $190. The steel is Nitro V. You've got a really aggressively turned down hawkbill here. And you've got G10 handle scales, which they're calling Explore More Gray. It's sort of got this orange stripe running through the center of it, and the way they mill the handles gives it kind of a distinctive look. It's pretty cool. All the edges, of course, are nice and eased over, chamfered in fact, so you don't have any kind of hot spots when you're holding on to this. Even the jimping there, while it does grab your finger, it doesn't feel sharp at all, so that's quite nice. Now the Nitro V steel I really like. We've got a tungsten coating on this, and that's not so much for rust resistance. Nitro V is pretty corrosion resistant, but it's more for that matte look and fewer reflections going on. Got 3 flared tubes in the handle, so if you wanted to do something funky and kind of lash it to something, you could, but I think it's more just for aesthetics and the way they do things. Comes with a nice sheath as well. It's Kydex, and really nicely molded Kydex. Even from the outside, you can see all the lines really well defined. They're not kind of bled over, which can happen sometimes. Coming on the back, they've got sort of this X-shaped belt loop here. And what's nice about it is you got 4 connection posts, and it's open from all 4 sides. So you can carry this without removing the hardware. You can thread your belt loop through this way and carry it horizontally or vertically, depending on what your preferences are. In addition to that, the holes on the front, you can use an aftermarket tech lock, both large and small, will fit this sheath. All right, next up, I know another thing a lot of people are doing a bit more of these days is cooking at home rather than eating out. So you gotta have some good kitchen knives, and we've got some new Shuns in right now that come with a classic, or they call this the classic blonde series. It comes with a blonde pack-a-wood handle. So pack-a-wood, of course, is sort of a stabilized laminate. It's not going to shrink or crack as much as natural wood will, but you still get that natural look, which I think is a pretty good combination of features. They come with sort of a matte texture. They're not hyper polished, but they're not super rough either, so they feel nice and silky smooth in your hand. This is the chef's knife. It comes in at about 120, but we've got kind of the whole complement of standard kitchen shapes, including a block set if you like. Santokus, bread knives, slicers, and all that sort of thing. Introductory price on this right now is about 120, and you get the VG Max Damascus blade, so that's a VG10 core with Damascus cladding on the outside to make it look a little bit better, but you still get the performance of VG10 there at the core. And the way most Japanese knives are ground, they are a little bit thinner ground at the edge than the German style knives, so you've got really acute cutting, the handle's really comfortable, they've got that sort of D-shaped profile which is optimized for right-handers. Really cool knives, and I really like this new blonde Packawood. I've also got the bread knife here as well. Same handle, but you've got the serrated version here. What I really like about the Shun classic bread knife, which of course this is just the newer version of, is there's a slight bit of curve to the actual cutting edge. It's not a completely straight bread knife. I really like that. I think it's easier to get a solid cut through a cutting board with that. It's easier to get full contact across the loaf or whatever else you're cutting. And also their serrations are kind of the wavy type, which there's a couple advantages to that. There's some disadvantages too, actually, for that matter. It's not gonna bite into super crusty bread quite as well initially, but these are gonna be easier to sharpen because eventually even serrations will go dull. And with this wavy profile, you can even kind of use it as a little bit of a meat slicer as well, because it's a little gentler on that sort of stuff too. But the price on this one also comes in at 120. You've got that 9-inch length there, plenty of length to get your work done. All right, quick fact check actually. I stand corrected a little bit. The core of these is not VG10 or the core of the VG Max. It is a steel that's based on VG10 though, so I got my facts there mixed up a little bit. Happens to me sometimes too. The chromium and vanadium content is a little bit higher than VG10, which should give you a little bit of extra edge retention and corrosion resistance, but performance still should be pretty similar to that VG10. All right, that's all I've got to show you this week in terms of the brand new knives. Love to know what you thought. What was the favorite thing that you saw here in front of you? If you want to get your hands on any of them, we'll leave links in the description. It'll take you over to KnifeCenter.com where you can put your order in there. And while you're over there, I always recommend signing up for our Knife Rewards program, because if you're gonna be stuck at home or even not stuck at home buying one of these knives, you might as well earn some free money for your next one. I'm David C. Anderson from the Knife Center. I hope you're all staying safe, sane, and sanitary out there. See you next time.